Hey, Soul Family. I am so sleepy. I'm trying to be quiet. It's bedtime in my house, but I am just so excited because I just had something powerful shift and move in my life that I have been praying for and manifesting for a really long time. And it honestly doesn't even involve me anymore. There was a really toxic situation with one of my kiddos and one of their coaches a year and a half ago, I'd say, where I was very vocal and spoke up and advocated against what was going on, and not only just for my own child, but for the benefit of other athletes and kids I cared about. And I just have not been able to let it go since. And my kid moved out of the district and is in a different school. And um, I've just continued to keep talking about it. Anytime it's come up, other people talking about him, I just haven't been able to let it go. And I've gotten flack for it from my friends and the school. And I'm sure they gave me a look like I was a crazy one. I need to get a life. I don't know what I'm talking about. And I'm just an advocate of against abuse. And I realize lately that I have been doing that since I was a kid. It's just I'm not really knowledgeable on what it looks like, and I'm willing to stick my neck out and say something to my own detriment. And if it's for the right reasons and pure intentions and it's for justice. And now the tables are finally turning. More people are starting to see what I was saying, and those same people that kind of gave me the look like you're crazy or that meddling crazy mom are now coming to me for advice on how to handle the same situations that are happening to their kids. And I'm so excited because I don't know, I just couldn't let it go, and it was for a reason that I couldn't let it go. And even just recently, over the last few weeks, I've had more conversations with some of the athletes um, that I care about who are experiencing things still. And someone else that's really closely related to the situation, I was talking to them, and it was almost like, because the two of us reached out to each other and connected and decided to be vulnerable and open up about our feelings on it, and decided to trust one another and to at least just share uh, and try to dispel the fear that was coming from up within us, of maybe fear of being judged. I mean, I do believe that God brought me and this individual together, and I truly, truly believe that I'm looking at the clock. I'm really truly believing that we manifested the healing in this situation, and that finally the tables are turning and the energy is shifting in the right way, and this individual may be finally put to justice, aka kicked off the head coaching position. And I'm just pumped about it because I just really have been feeling really just lone wolf about it and isolated. And it is hard to sit with the energy of being judged, even though I'm brave and will stick my neck out regardless. It does feel heavy. It does feel heavy to not be seen and heard and misjudged, and to be kind of looked at like that and misunderstood. I hate being misunderstood. And I guess I just am excited and pumped for justice to finally win, but also just wanted to come on and encourage many of you that continue to speak up. When you see something, say something, continue to speak up, even if it makes you the trouble starter, even if it makes you look crazy, even if people don't understand you, even if nothing moves in the right direction and works in your favor. I didn't have a favorable outcome when I spoke up. They were kind to me, but they were like, thanks for the feedback. We'll let them know so they can improve their behavior. And it put my family in a situation of having to just choose whether we're going to continue to put up with it or leave. And sadly, my son had to leave the situation. I felt that's what it was called for him to do. I think he's super brave, and it was right for our family. But it was it was really painful. There was a grief in having to know your concerns are falling on deaf ears and nothing's going to get done about the situation, and the justice wasn't served back then in the way that I had hoped. I had hoped I was not the only parent that had expressed concern, so I had hoped that with my voice and other parents a lot of years before, that they would make a move and change and care about the child's experience, and that did not happen. I did not get the justice I had was hoping for at the time, but sometimes things need to marinate. Sometimes people need to come unglued. Sometimes someone's true nature and colors do need to show themselves, and sometimes people do need time to take the rose colored glasses off, and more people do need to come forward and see. I just always pray for truth and wisdom and to see clearly, and when you pray for that, God is powerful and he will reveal things to you, and not everybody prays that same prayer and wants that same thing. Some people like to be in their comfort zone and like to bury their head in the sand, and they don't want the conflict or whatever. So my point is, us women, or I would just say the divine feminine energy, sometimes a man can be really strong in his divine feminine energy, which is more of that intuitive sense, that tapped in sense, that discerning wise sense, and spiritual. Because I mean, I tapped into my divine masculine when I went head to head with some of these grown men and had to have these tough conversations. No one else was backing me. I did it alone. So like, we are interchangeable with their feminine and masculine energy. That is another topic, but I believe the feminine energy, women, trust your mama instincts, trust your women's intuition. When something doesn't feel right, it's probably because it's not right. Pray for eyes of discernment and truth. Speak up and advocate. We are so powerful. We are so powerful. And then do what you need to do, say what you need to say, and let things unfold, and keep speaking up. Do not stop. Don't back down. Don't cower in fear when you're presented with an opportunity to share more of your heart. I mean, just a couple weeks ago, I was presented with an opportunity to share a little bit more with someone who directly impacted by the situation about what I see and of the situation and the toxicity and the pain that I see happening, and how it's not fair, not right, and blah, 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 my philosophy on the matter. And I really, truly believe I helped somebody's eyes be opened. Because they said, yeah, you're right. I see what you're saying now. And they shared some of their experience. And so it was just a conversation. That's all it was. I don't expect somebody to adopt my philosophies. I'm not trying to push my ideas down anybody's throat, but I was just simply sharing what I've seen and how it's impacted me. And, conversations, the power of conversations, and just opening up and speaking up, and not just being like, oh, I just want to keep everything light and fun and don't want to address that, because I got flack for having that heavier conversation, that deeper conversation. I wasn't trying to start conflict. It was just two people getting to know one another and connecting on a deeper level about real things that are actually happening in the world, and not wanting to keep everything so superficial. I am not a superficial person. I don't do small talk very well. And so that's just my nature. And I got flack that day for sharing, and I just did it anyways. And I just expressed, instead of me having to shut down and shut up, why don't you be more open to deeper conversations of things that are actually going on? Instead of me talking less, why don't you talk more? That's what I'm kind of getting so sick of, people trying to silence me. I've had it my whole entire life of like, you know, instead of me being too much, and that being the story we're going with, maybe you're too little. Ladies, have you ever thought about that? And somebody tells you that you're just too much. Your emotions are too big. Oh, get a life. Or get, you just stop worrying about stuff like that. I'm sorry. We are sometimes called to be the warriors, the carriers of all the seers, the wisdom seekers, and just the intuitive ones, sensing and being able to see beyond our own physical eyes of what's going on and feel into a situation. I can see how many people are impacted by this negatively in the pain. And I also know so much about trauma, and I don't want to repeat more trauma. I don't want other people to suffer more trauma, especially at the hands of abusive people. So I'm just super pumped. Nothing major has happened yet, but there is definitely, tables are turning, and there's talks of things moving and shaking. And I guess I was just really empowered, because I truly believe, especially the way the energy's been this last week, I manifested this. I literally said to the person really deeply connected that opened up to me about what they experience in the situation, and they're very got a hand really close in this. I said, this needs to end. This guy needs to go down. It's time. This guy needs to go down. And I just manifested that. I expressed that. And I do believe that when two or more come together, me and this individual were sharing and talking, and there was a relief on both our ends of like finally letting go of the weight we've been carrying. I felt the weight as a mom of advocating, not getting hurt. And the other person felt the weight too of carrying all of what that they've been dealing with. When two or more come together, I felt that there was a powerful manifestation that happened, and some kind of cycle broke of silence. And abusive people thrive and win and gain more power by silencing everybody and creating a culture of fear. No kid wants to come forward because they're afraid it's going to get bad for them. In fact, that's what I was told. Mom, don't say anything. Don't say anything. It's going to make it bad for me. And I didn't say anything for a really long time until it crossed a line that I couldn't handle as a mother anymore. And I think, we often look to men to be the ones that have to handle this stuff, but our intuition, our mama's heart, our advocating for what's pure and right is important. And no matter the flack that you get and the people that aren't going to understand you, stand up and do what's right, because you just never know how it might impact somebody. And I also think because I was so vocal and sharing, people that really weren't real versed on trauma or abuse or anything like that were like, oh, she's kind of crazy. What's she talking about? But then when they started to experience it, who did they look to for advice, and who do they look to that could possibly understand or relate to their situation? Me. And yes, lots of time had passed in between, and I had to be patient. And honestly, it's not like I was sitting there waiting for anything to change. I just advocated for what was right in the sense of what the justice for the highest good of all the people, especially the vulnerable ones, what was right for the vulnerable ones, which would be kids in this situation. They're very vulnerable, even teens, okay? They don't always have the emotional maturity to know what's going on and to see things that clearly. And we want them to advocate for themselves, but when somebody is creating a culture of fear and punishment and consequences and control, they can't speak freely. We need to advocate for them as adults, and help them to know that they're seen, they're heard, their experiences matter, especially in the situation of sports. Oh my gosh, sports has become such a huge cultural phenomenon. Like, it's just taking over. It's like the be all end all of everything. Above all else, everybody just wants to win and get people in position to win, and like without balancing out what's mentally and emotionally best for our kids and healthy. So that's a long story short, but I guess I just wanted to encourage you to keep speaking out, to trust your intuition. When something's not right, keep praying for justice to win, and don't back down, no matter the naysayers and the flack that you get. I guess I just feel empowered today and I also, the timing of this last week, the energy's really been shifting. That's when shortly after I said this guy needs to go down, it's time. And I had that conversation with somebody, within the last week. It's just been one thing after another. I've been hearing other stories of other people like, yeah, me too, and like getting advice. And so I do believe that I spoke that into existence, and some kind of cycle was broken by me and the person that's directly connected, like speaking on this, and the cycle of silence was like broken. There's like chains cut off of this toxic situation that it just seems to never end. It's been 4 years of this, and something shifted in the last week, and I am just proud that I'm part of it. And I really want to encourage you to don't forget every little move of pure intention out of love, and for fighting for integrity and what's right and justice. Every little move does create a ripple effect, and you just don't know exactly the outcome it's going to be, but trust that it's there. Okay? Until we talk next time. Bye.